dared to stare, unveiling the shadows of fear on fear files.
After a long and exhausting day, I yearned for the sweet release of sleep to wash over me like a comforting tide, carrying me away from the worries and cares of the waking world into the blissful oblivion of dreams. With a heavy heart and leaden limbs, I reached for the bottle of sleeping pills on my bedside table, hoping that they would grant me the respite I so desperately craved. I swallowed the pills without a second thought, the bitter taste lingering on my tongue as I sank into the welcoming embrace of my bed, the darkness of sleep enveloping me like a warm blanket as I closed my eyes and drifted off into the realm of dreams. But as the hours passed and the night wore on, I found myself trapped in a recurring nightmare from which there seemed to be no escape. I tried to wake myself, to shake myself free from the clutches of the dream that held me captive. But no matter how hard I tried, I remained trapped in its suffocating embrace, unable to break free from the chains that bound me to this endless cycle of terror and despair. In the dream, I wandered through a dark and desolate landscape, the air thick with the stench of decay and the sound of my own footsteps echoing off the crumbling walls of the labyrinthine corridors that stretched out before me like a maze with no end. Shadows danced at the edges of my vision, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes that sent shivers racing down my spine, like icy tendrils creeping ever closer with each passing moment. I stumbled through the darkness, my heart pounding in my chest as I searched for a way out, for some glimmer of hope in this bleak and desolate landscape. But no matter where I turned, no matter how hard I tried, I found myself back where I started, trapped in this endless nightmare with no hope of escape. And then, just when I thought all hope was lost, I saw her. A figure emerged from the shadows, her features obscured by the darkness that enveloped her like a shroud. But even in the dim light, I could see the glint of recognition in her eyes, the same eyes that stared back at me from the depths of my own nightmares with a malevolence that chilled me to the bone. She reached out to me, her fingers cold and clammy against my skin, as she whispered my name in a voice that sent shivers racing down my spine, like icy tendrils creeping ever closer with each passing moment. "You cannot escape," she said, her words a chilling reminder of the futility of my efforts. I tried to run, to flee from this nightmare that had become my reality. But no matter how fast I ran, she was always there, lurking just beyond the edges of my vision, like a specter haunting the corners of my mind. And as the darkness closed in around me, swallowing me whole in its suffocating embrace, I knew that I would never escape the clutches of this endless dream, that I would be lost to its horrors forevermore, a prisoner of my own subconscious mind. For in the end, the nightmare always wins, dragging us down into the depths of despair until there is nothing left but the echoes of our own screams echoing through the darkness, a haunting reminder of the fragility of our own sanity and the inevitability of our own demise. The rain beat down on the roof of the old pickup truck like a relentless drumbeat, the sound of thunder echoing in the distance like the angry growl of some unseen beast. We huddled together in the cramped cab, our clothes soaked through with rainwater, as we tried in vain to shield ourselves from the fury of the storm raging outside. With each passing moment, the rain seemed to fall harder, the wind howling through the trees like a banshee wailing in the night. Our journey had been interrupted by the sudden onset of the tempest, leaving us stranded on a desolate stretch of road with nowhere to go and no shelter in sight. But just when it seemed like all hope was lost, we spotted it in the distance, an old abandoned house nestled among the trees like a forgotten relic of a bygone era. It was our only hope for escape from the wrath of the storm, a beacon of hope in the darkness that threatened to consume us whole. We stumbled out of the truck and raced towards the safety of the house, our clothes clinging to our bodies like a second skin as we fought against the driving rain and biting wind. The door creaked open on rusty hinges as we stepped inside, the musty scent of decay hanging heavy in the air as we surveyed our surroundings with wary eyes. The house was empty, devoid of life save for the dust-covered furniture and cobwebs that hung from the rafters like gossamer threads. But despite its dilapidated appearance, it offered us sanctuary from the storm outside, a temporary respite from the chaos that raged beyond its walls. We huddled together in the dim light of the living room, our hearts pounding in our chests as we waited out the worst of the storm. But as the hours dragged on and the rain showed no signs of abating, a sense of unease settled over us like a shroud, casting a pall of fear and uncertainty over our makeshift refuge. And then, just when we thought it couldn't get any worse, we made a gruesome discovery. Fresh dead bodies in the basement, their lifeless eyes staring up at us from the cold, damp earth with a haunting emptiness that sent shivers racing down our spines, like icy tendrils creeping ever closer with each passing moment. Panic gripped us like a vice as we realized the true horror of our situation, the realization dawning on us that we were not alone in this house, that something sinister lurked in the shadows just beyond the edge of our perception. We fled into the night, our screams lost in the howling wind as we ran from the darkness that had become our only companion, knowing that we would never be able to escape the horrors that awaited us in the depths of the storm. For in the end, it wasn't the storm that threatened to destroy us, but the secrets hidden within the walls of that old, abandoned house, a reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of our reality, waiting to claim us for its own. I've seen my fair share of horrors in my years on the force. Crimes that would make your blood run cold, and monsters lurking in the shadows that haunt my nightmares to this day. But nothing could have prepared me for the chilling realization that my own daughter might be dating a serial killer. It started innocently enough, with whispers and rumors swirling around the precinct like a gathering storm. Bodies turning up in alleyways and abandoned buildings, each victim bearing the same gruesome signature, a single rose placed delicately on their lifeless chest. As the bodies piled up, I couldn't shake the sinking feeling that I knew who was responsible. My daughter, Emily, had always been rebellious. A free spirit with a taste for danger, she had a knack for attracting trouble like a moth to a flame. But when I saw her with him, the man I had long suspected of being the one behind the killings, my blood ran cold. He was charming, with a smile that could light up a room and eyes that seemed to peer straight through to your soul. But beneath that facade of charm and charisma, I saw something darker lurking just beneath the surface, a coldness that sent shivers racing down my spine, like icy tendrils creeping ever closer with each passing moment. I tried to warn Emily, to make her see the danger she was in, but she refused to listen. She laughed off my concerns, dismissing them as the paranoid ramblings of an overprotective father. But I knew the truth, and I couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out to stop him before he struck again. I followed them, tracking their movements through the dark and shadowy streets of the city like a ghost in the night. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched from the shadows, my senses on high alert for any sign of danger lurking just beyond the edge of my vision. And then, just when I thought all hope was lost, I saw it. A single rose, lying discarded on the ground like a silent accusation against the man I had long suspected of being the one behind the killings. My worst fears had been realized, and I knew that I had to act fast before it was too late. I confronted him, my gun drawn and my heart pounding in my chest as I stared into the eyes of the man who had stolen my daughter's heart. But as I investigated those cold, dead eyes, I knew that there was no turning back, that I had crossed a line from which there could be no return. The truth came out in a flurry of violence and chaos, with gunfire ringing out in the night as I fought to protect my daughter from the monster that had wormed its way into her heart. But in the end, was too late. The damage had been done, and I could only watch in horror as the man I had once called my daughter's boyfriend lay lifeless at my feet, his secrets laid bare for all the world to see. For in the end, the line between good and evil is not always as clear-cut as we would like to believe. And as I stood there in the darkness, alone and afraid, I knew that I would carry the weight of my actions with me for the rest of my days, a reminder of the cost of justice in a world consumed by darkness. Thank you for braving the unknown with us. Until next time, stay haunted.